This is the Peter Greenwood Show at the Edinburgh Fringe, and I've got a gentleman to my right. Could you tell me your name and your show title, please?
Absolutely. My name is Sasha, and the show title is The Weight of Shadow.
Let's talk about The Weight of Shadow. So it was inspired by your partner, Ciana's?
That's right, Ciana.
I'm so glad I got it right.
Yeah.
Now, she's been struggling with mental health. How did this come from that?
So in the first instance, so she's suffering from PTSD, anxiety and depression. It's been going on for over 10 years. And what pretty much provoked it was conversations with people who are not necessarily in touch with it. So a lot of times there would be people who would not fully understand the impact it can actually have on your life. And when she would explain, I have a hard time getting out of bed, I have a hard time leaving the house, I have a hard time doing X, Y, Z, people wouldn't quite understand. So they would just go like, just put a fit in front of the other. It can't be that hard. Yeah. And when you're living so close to it and you're really trying to help, but there's not much in your power to help, and you hear how people not quite understand it, that provokes sort of this thought of what happens if I would actually make a show and physically depict of what she's going through. And so I asked her if she would be okay with it, and I asked her, are you okay with me taking your mental side and putting this into motion? And that's how the show was born. And then what we did was, in the first instance, I just sort of took a lot of scenarios, like leaving the house, getting dressed, getting out of bed, and she would explain how she would feel, and I would then take all those information points and just be going into a rehearsal room and just start drawing out movements. And then I would put them back into her corner and just be like, what do you think? Is this accurate enough? And there would be a few times where she'd be like, no, it's way too big. So I'd be throwing massive acrobatic moves and she'd be like, why did she do that? And I'd be like, because, and she would be like, no, way smaller, way heavier. And that's how I structured the show, then with her help to find the right language. And then the whole show, and it's literally, I was searching for a storyline. And then eventually I was like, well, there doesn't need to be a story, it just needs to tell this feeling of a day and how it keeps repeating, because it's not just a one-off, it keeps going through a day, every day. And you wake up and you feel the same emotion or non-emotion, you feel the same struggle every day, and that's exactly how I then started building the show pretty much. So I start with getting out of bed and trying to get ready, trying to leave the house, and the struggle, the internal anger towards yourself, and so that's pretty much how the whole show came about.
How do you take something like not being able to get out of bed and struggling and turn it into a movement, and how do you portray that movement?
Well, in this case it was actually quite, the bed situation was actually the easier one, because this feeling of not being able to get out of bed, I literally just took it literal. I really am just lying in bed and I'm just dragging the body up, and I don't have control over my legs. So the first time when I'm pushing out of bed, I collapse on the ground, and then I drag myself across the ground and pull my legs behind me, and then it goes slightly into more acrobatic movements, like pulling myself into handstand and falling out of it. And it was really just about this severe struggle of getting up and really showing people this is what people feel like. And so this situation was one of the easier ones, because I could literally just, when she said, I have a hard time getting up, I'm like, okay, so I will have a hard time getting up. What was more complicated was more like the internal anger, the struggle between yourself, the arguments that you have with yourself, the constant fights that you have with yourself where you're doubting what you're doing. So that I switch characters quite quickly between the two, and they're having an actual argument on stage, like physical argument, as well as the severe nightmares. So she would be waking up sometimes and she'd be drenched in sweat and completely not in her body, not in the room. She would be just completely gone, and like, so it's very hard to explain, but it's almost like as if the dream kept her in that sort of emotional state that she just lived through even when she woke up. And every now and then there would be moments where she would be waking up, or she believes she woke up and thinks she's in the room, and then she looks to the side and I'm not there. And then suddenly something comes creeping in, and then she wakes properly up. So she would have a dream inside a dream, pretty much like an inception. And so that was a very sort of complicated part, because I wanted to really just show this element of like the dream and how it tears you apart. And that's how I then in the show have the acrobatic elements, the aerial acrobatic elements of me going to bed, and then it's like the person goes to sleep and suddenly wakes up and is up in the air and doesn't know why they're there. And then I started structuring the acrobatics less around the acrobatic movements. So it's not about the here's a trick, look at me what I can do. It's more about what does the trick say, and does it reflect truly what the person went through in that moment. And that's how I then structured the aerial elements of that. And and then that was sort of like these two elements, like the internalized anger and the nightmare sequences, were probably the hardest, but for me most fulfilling, because I had to really find the right time and the right timing and the right emotional state that then translates into the physicality. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Sorry, I'm just chatting away here.
I'd like to ask, because it sounds like it's an incredibly personal story. When you came to put it together and you were working together to put the movements to the feeling, I don't want to ask did that help, because that's a very broad term, but
no, you absolutely.
How did it help?
Absolutely. So I think it helped both of us. Like personally speaking, it helped me a great deal to truly understand. Because, I mean, we've been together now for almost 7 years, and in these 7 years I've seen her struggle on a daily basis, and I always try to make her life as comfortable as possible. But there's still, even though you understand it is your partner, and there's still a level of not quite understanding, because you are not in it.
You're not in their head.
Exactly. So it's really hard to reflect this either back and or find the right language and so on and so forth. But by the time when we actually had everything in place, everything became really clear for me, and the struggle became very clear, because now I'm doing what she lives in her head physically, and I can feel the exhaustion just for an hour on stage, and that's lucky, because she has to do this every day in her mind. I mean, this now speaking, it sounds still as if she's severely into it. She's a lot better now. So she's really fighting hard on an everyday basis, and she's now at the point where she actually has minor social anxiety, which is great. Comes up every now and then. But for her to see as well, to actually see what she feels like, I think that was a great help for her to understand, actually, this is nothing to laugh about. This is nothing that I should take lightly, because some people are, as I mentioned at the beginning, just like, what's the problem? Like, we'll just get out of bed. But if you see it yourself, and that's almost like a sign of validation.
Yeah.
And I think that helped both of us in a way. Yeah.
I'd like to touch on that a little bit, about people saying, oh, it's fine, just get on with it, just get out of bed. And particularly on social media, everybody is a doctor, everybody's a psychiatrist. That must be rewarding for you to be able to show people, look, this is what it's like, this is this experience.
Yes. Well, so it's exciting in the way that I have sorry, I'm just going to open a can of Iron Brew.
No, dig on in. Iron Brew isn't sponsored, but if you're listening, Iron Brew, get in touch.
I'm still searching for sponsorship, Iron Brew, and I'm really enjoying your beverage.
It is a very tasty beverage. And it's in the original can as well.
Just orange. Listen to the sound of Iron Brew.
Sounds fizzy. Yes.
So, sorry, what we are.
Iron Brew is very exciting. No, I was asking about how it feels to be able to show people this experience.
So, now it feels great, because now I have received the feedback that I was really hoping for. It's not about like liking, non-liking. It's more about building a relation. And why I wanted to make the show is not necessarily just to show a personal struggle to one person, but I know that a lot of people feel this way.
Yeah.
And that there's a lot of people who either spoke about it and haven't been taken seriously, and or have spoken about it but feel like there needs to be more, and they sometimes undermine their own personal struggle. So by just simply, it can't be that hard, you just pull through. And now, having done the show, my aim was to really just put it to people and just say, I see you. I know what it feels like. I'm not in that situation myself, but I can empathise. And I know where you're at, and I want you to know that you're not alone. But at the same time, I wanted to create the show not only for people who are suffering from it, but also for people who are not suffering from it, might not have an understanding, and come out of it and maybe then get the slight idea of, okay, I think I know what that entails now. I know what it means for somebody to go through this. So, and the feedback so far has been exactly like that. I've had people coming towards me and feel very seen, and said that to me, like, when you did X, Y, Z, I felt very much seen, which is a great compliment, because that's what I set out to do. And the other side as well, I had recently a young man approach me, and he was wonderful, and he said he had a friend suffering severely from mental health issues, and he couldn't relate, and then heard about my show, came, and he's like, it makes so much sense now. And that made me really happy, because I know now he's probably stepping towards his friend and with a level of understanding, sympathy, and maybe even empathy, and says, I know how you feel. And that makes me incredibly happy.
The empathy side of it must be very rewarding as well, because, as you said, it's helping people understand. That must be a really good thing to know that you put that out into the world.
Yeah, because if you feel that there's a level of understanding, it hits a more personal note. I know that the show is not a crowd pleaser, and I know as well that it's quite dark, but it's these kind of things need to be spoken about.
Yeah.
And I think as well, in the sense that it is still entertainment, and it's not supposed to be like the finger up in the air and, you know, you have to be X, Y, Z. It's more about taking a topic, making an entertainment to put it towards people, and if you then still find that people can empathise and feel seen, it's incredible. It's a wonderful feeling, because that was exactly what I set out to do, and yeah, it felt literally as if I ticked the boxes there, and I was like, yes, okay, I did it.
And what was Ciana's reaction when she saw the final finished piece? What did she make of it?
She loved it. She really loved it. The first time she actually saw it was in the constellation it is now, was here in Edinburgh. Just about, I think the third or fourth day. So previously the show was running at 30 minutes, now it's about an hour. And she had just seen a work in progress, and we barely had any lights. We literally just had the physicality, and she just got a glimpse of it and already liked it. But now she's seeing it all with the lights and the soundtrack and everything with it. And she's absolutely loving it, because she sees that it is her story, and she feels like, yeah, you did right, you did it exactly as I feel, and that made me happy again, because I'm just going, okay, I didn't set out to do something that I have no clue about, and then just did it. But it was always this, like, is this what you feel like? And she would be, yes, that's exactly what I feel like. And getting that, like, just that feedback of having done something that you're not involved in, like, personally with your mental health, it leads back to feeling that you have understood something on a deeper level. And for her to know that I have understood this on a deeper level, it bonds even more than with your partner. So yeah.
And it's the human connection as well, which we all want at the end of the day, trying to connect with people and say, this is how I feel, this is how this person feels, and that's
100%, yeah, because what you do or what you feel in that moment is a feeling of belonging. And mental health has this unfortunate side to give people the feeling that they're alone or even lonely. And I think this sort of, I wouldn't want to say the show says, like, oh yeah, you know, come out of your house now and just do it. But it's more about that people, again, what I said earlier, feel seen, and also maybe get the strength to actually talk about it. When people are down, a lot of people are not even diagnosed and have massive issues with mental health and are not aware of it. But maybe just seeing it, that there's somebody who, well, my mental health is fine, besides anorexia in the past and body dysmorphia. It's the only thing that I've personally brought into it. The rest of it is just somebody else's story. But I think it gives people the opportunity, or it creates a platform for people to actually go to their friends and family and say, listen, you've seen the show? Do you know, you've seen this? The struggle? That's me. And I hope that opens the conversation and hopefully the courage for people to open up to people and say, listen, I'm struggling too.
Where can people find out more about you and about the show online?
About me, either on Instagram, the same as my name, Sasha Krohn, and as well as website is www.sashakrohn.com. So Instagram, website, and at French site, as well as at the Assembly Fest, and the show is on at the Assembly Checkpoint every day, 12:15. Yes, okay, I've got that right. don't know my own times now.
It's okay. I don't know my name most of the time. I'll be
Story
like,
of my
welcome
life.
to the show you're listening to. I am
holding a
some
microphone.
guy.
I'm holding a microphone. I'm speaking.
Sasha, thank you so much for your time
My
today.
absolute pleasure. Thank you.
The Weight of Shadows, performing until the 25th at Assembly Checkpoint at 12:15 in the afternoon. For tickets, go to edfringe.com. And this is the last episode of the Peter Greenwood Show at the Fringe for 2024. We've been up and down, we've met some interesting people, we've met some pretty cool celebrities, I think you'll agree. We've done some great interviews, and we've had a great time. Thank you to VC Toria A for producing this episode and for sticking with me throughout this whole Fringe process. She just started as producer in November last year, and we've done a couple of things together, but this is the biggest thing we've done so far. And to throw her right into the deep end and say, right, we're going to do a festival now, is a lot, and she's taken to it like a duck to water, so thank you, Victoria. It was hosted by me, Peter Greenwood, so until 2025, when, I hope, touch wood, we'll be back at the Fringe. Bye, everybody, bye.